Hello, my name is Seetha. So, since we've already completed the chapter about carbohydrate metabolism, so today I'm going to discuss about a case or a topic related to this chapter. So, the case topic that I'm going to talk about is the newborn babies consume solely milk for the first 6 months of their life. How do they get energy by only drinking milk? What about the individuals having restriction with drinking milk? So let's look at the contents. So the contents of my slide is firstly, the composition, sugar in milk. Second, the catabolic pathway of lactose intolerance, and I'll be wrapping up with the conclusion. So first, the composition, sugar in milk. So basically it's lactose. So lactose is actually known to be the milk sugar, and lactose is actually a disaccharide sugar which will be then broken down into glucose and galactose. So the more simplified sugar. And lactose is also used in unique food application and as a sweetener addition to flavored milk. In cow's milk, the sugar comes primarily from lactose. So if in milk, in case lactose is the main component. Okay, let's look at the metabolic pathway of lactose. Metabolic pathway. Metabolic, we have anabolic and catabolic. So I'm going to look at the catabolic. Catabolic means the breakdown of molecules. So the breakdown of big molecules to small molecules, which in this case, we are breaking down lactose into simplified sugar, which is galactose and glucose. So to break down lactose into galactose and glucose, there's an enzyme needed to catalyze this process, which is the lactase. Lactase, it's ending with A, so it's an enzyme to break down lactose into galactose and glucose. Once it's broken down into galactose and glucose is already the most simplified version of sugar. So it is immediately absorbed into the bloodstream. Whereas galactose cannot be readily used by the body, so it's converted into glucose, then only it can be absorbed into the bloodstream. So this is the structure of galactose, and this is lactose. As we can see that the similarity is the beta-D linkage between both. So let's look at the catabolic process of lactose. Okay, lactose, as I said before, is broken down into galactose and glucose by the enzyme lactase. Without this lactase, its process is impossible or cannot happen, whereas the lactose intolerance comes in. So with the presence of lactase, so it produces glucose and galactose. Glucose will undergo glycolysis like normal, so it will undergo phosphorylation to produce glucose 6-phosphate and then etc. But galactose, it has to be formed into glucose so that it can be absorbed into the bloodstream. So galactose is phosphorylated to galactose 1-phosphate by the enzyme galactokinase. And then galactose 1-phosphate is then undergoes an interchange reaction to produce UTP galactose. And with the help of UDP galactose epimerase, it turns into UDP glucose. So then the UDP glucose is catalyzed by galactose 1 phosphouryl transferase to produce glucose 1-phosphate, and then it will form glucose 6-phosphate and undergo glycolysis to produce the end product. So this is the summary of what I said just now, of the process just now, how galactose is converted into glucose. So third, we'll be looking at the lactose intolerance. So the question here is now, what is lactose intolerance? Lactose intolerance is the inability to digest lactose. So you don't have the enzyme lactase, so you cannot digest lactose. So it is caused by the reduced production of the enzyme lactase in your gut. So that is lactose intolerance, as the diagram here. So this is where lactase is present. So you can break down into glucose galactose and will be absorbed. Whereas here there's no lactase, so glucose cannot be broken down into glucose and galactose. So how does this happen? How does lactose intolerance happen? First, it's due to the absence of lactase enzyme. Without this enzyme, this reaction won't happen. So there's two severity, which is primary and secondary. So primary is actually common. So it is caused because of the decrease in lactase production with age. So as you grow older, or as you reach a certain age, so the production of lactase will decrease. So when it decreases, the breakdown cannot happen, and it results to of the human being having the symptoms of lactose intolerance. So secondary is more severe and is more of a rare case between us. So secondary is where you have an inflammation in the gut wall. So the conclusion, to wrap up this whole topic of lactose. Okay, where does energy generated in babies goes, and what type of food can be the best substitute of milk? Means the best alternative lah. So what suggestion you can give for those having lactose intolerance? What type of food they can eat? What food can be the best substitute of milk? So first of all, the food must be high in calcium, such as nuts and seeds. Secondly, consider soy or rice milk. It's definitely an alternative for milk, because soy milk and rice milk also have calcium and vitamin D. Thirdly is the imitation of dairy products such as soy cheese and non-dairy sour cream. Fourthly is frozen products made from rice or soy milk instead of ice cream. And the last one, dairy products that have cultures in them, so it can help provide enough nutrients that the original milk provides. So such as yogurt, buttermilk, and some cheese. So the last question is, where does energy generated in babies goes? Why do babies need so much energy, as they do not move much? Not like us teenagers or adults. Okay. We need so much of energy because we're doing a lot of things. But babies just move a little. But why do they need so much of energy? So a baby's stomach is small and can only hold small amounts of food at a time. So mainly they need their food needs to be high in fat. Why high in fat? Because it contains calories. Fat products contains calories, such as milk. Because babies need to have a high growing rate, so it can increase their weight to have more energy. So when they have more calories, so the growing rate will be fast. They can produce more weight. So thank you. This is all from me.